Welcome to the Success in Africa podcast with Dr. Modupe, your weekly dose of leadership vitamins to make you successful in Africa.
Hello, and welcome to the Success in Africa podcast, episode 6. My name is Dr. Modupe Taylor Pierce, and I am a scholar and practitioner of leadership and organizational development. Simply put, I study what makes people successful. I have been studying this for 3 decades with a particular focus on people in Africa. And in this podcast, I will share stories, lessons, and insights about people having success in Africa. Why this podcast? Because I am sick and tired of Africa being the poorest continent in the world. We are blessed with the greatest resource, young people. Africa will soon possess the greatest number of working age people in the world. And when these people achieve success, Africa's wealth will be unparalleled. Why? Because I don't know of too many people whose goal it is to die poor. See, success in life is simply the achievement of a predetermined goal. Whether that goal is owning a house and a car, creating employment for 1,000 people, or transforming your country into a high-income country. This podcast has been created to help you to achieve it. So, if you are serious about achieving success in Africa, I want you to subscribe to this channel. If you like this video after watching it, please click the like button. This podcast is brought to you courtesy of BCA Leadership, the largest leadership coaching company in Africa. If you have questions that you want me to answer after watching this video, just log on to BCA Online. The link is on the screen, and post your questions there. That is where I will respond to your questions. This month, we have been focusing on entrepreneurship, and I promised you that we would cover foundational building blocks that you need to be able to establish and create successful businesses in Africa. Last week, we talked about the cornerstone of the foundation, that is you, the founder, and I asked you to check yourself and see if you are crazy enough to be an entrepreneur. Vusi Tembekwayo, a successful South African entrepreneur, puts it in a way I find amusing. He says, you have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur. You have to believe that you're going to make money month end, which often you're not. You have to believe that you can compete with big companies, which often you can't. You have to believe that you can reach all your customers, which often you won't. And you have to believe that you can do so cheaply, cost effectively, and make a profit, which in the early days, you probably won't do. And if you don't believe these 4 things, you won't succeed as an entrepreneur. So yes, you have to be a little bit crazy. Now, if you have changed your mind about starting a new business after watching that episode, then I've done you a huge favor. Because if that little bit of challenge dissuaded you, then you probably don't have what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur in Africa. Rest assured, there are other ways in which you can contribute to the benefit of Africa. After all, so entrepreneurs need employees to staff their companies, and there is no shame in being an employee. But if you haven't been dissuaded, then let's carry on. Today, we are going to keep exploring the foundations, and we are sticking with you, the founder, and focusing on the one skill that you must have or acquire, and that is selling skills. Knowing how to sell is the single most important skill you need to be a successful entrepreneur in Africa. It does not matter whether your business is retail, wholesale, logistics, manufacturing, service provision, IT, medical, mining, or fintech. I don't care if you are extroverted, introverted, tall, short, white, black, female, male. You must learn how to sell, and you must believe that you can learn how to sell, because if you don't, you will not be a successful entrepreneur in Africa. A website does not sell. Neither does a brochure or an Instagram page or a big office building or a signboard. These things create general awareness of your product or service, but they do not identify your warm prospect or close the deal with a potential customer. There is no business without customers, and by customers, I mean paying customers. In the early stages of any business, you, the founder, are the chief salesperson of the company. Vusi Thembekwayo learned this in his early days as an entrepreneur. Today, Vusi is a successful venture capitalist and head of My Growth Fund Venture Partners. However, his entrepreneurial career started a little rough. After earning a third place finish at the World Championships of Public Speaking at age 17, an amazing achievement, Vusi later decided to quit his job at age 22 and start his own company. He took his 3 months of savings, hired an assistant, put up a shiny signboard that people could easily read to know that his company was there, and then he waited for the phone to ring. And waited and waited. He waited for 7 months. Nothing happened. His money ran out. He couldn't pay rent or his assistant, and he couldn't even pay the monthly lease fee for the car that he was driving. It was after this that he learned the painful lesson that the phrase, "if you build it, they will come," is only true in the movies. You see, someone has to call them and convince them to come if you build it. Today, even though he's almost a household name, Vusi does not wait for the phone to ring. In his company, he uses a term, burn the line. Burn the line when inspiring and training his sales teams. See, burn the line means when you pick up the phone book, you pick up the phone and you make cold calls and do not stop until you have made a sale. It may be painful, it may be unpleasant, but it works. See, Vusi even says that, he said for him, in his business, for every 10 calls, he aims to get 4 appointments, and then from these 4 appointments to make 1 sale. He also learned an adjacent lesson from this, his initial unsuccessful foray into entrepreneurship, that he did not need the capital that he thought he needed to start the business. What do I mean? You see, he has explained that he learned that as an entrepreneur, you start with what you have, no matter how little it is. Because the most important thing to a business is a customer. He encourages new entrepreneurs to win customers and develop relationships with potential customers before worrying about buying equipment, inventory, or hiring people. For example, if your dream is to open a hotel, start by being a salesperson for a hotel or an agent. Develop customer relationships so that when you have a hotel, people will know you and will be able to patronize your business more easily. See, from working for a hotel, you will learn the lessons of how to serve the customers better so that they keep coming back. Then you can take the next step of perhaps renting a large house that you can convert into a boutique hotel or bed and breakfast, and leverage your relationships with customers to get them to patronize your place. Having developed and cultivated customers and having cash flow that makes it easier for you to attract the investment capital now that you will need to then build your own hotel. If you don't feel confident in your ability to sell, you are not alone. Selling is like swimming. It requires Yes, awareness of some basic guidelines, but more importantly, it requires lots of practice to get good at it. You cannot just read alone about how to do it in order to become a good salesperson. Just like you cannot just read about how to be a good swimmer to become a good swimmer. You have to get out there and do it. If you want some tips on effective sales techniques, just type in your web browser or on YouTube, effective sales techniques, and you will find a plethora of tutorials on this. One of my favorite sales methods is the AIDDA method. In a future episode, I will give you a thorough review and tutorial on the AIDDA method. For now, just burn the line. Practice, practice, practice. Sell your idea to potential suppliers and partners. Sell your product to potential suppliers. Sell your vision to potential employees. And don't be dismayed if you get rejections. Even the great Vuzi considers 9 rejections out of 10 a success. So, if you have pitched your product or service or company 9 times and been rejected 9 times, do it again. Your sale is hidden in the next customer visit, the next customer pitch, the next customer call. Remember, the secret to getting anything you want: 1, ask for it. 2, ask 10 times for it. Get so used to rejection that you don't feel it. Make it a habit to ask why and explore past the rejection. That is where the nuggets of gold are. You see, when a prospect says no to your offer or your service, ask what you can do to change their mind. If the prospect does not tell you why they are rejecting your offer, gently ask them. It is inside the reason behind the rejection that you will find the valuable information, either about the changes you need to make to your offer or something about the prospect's situation that will inform you about what you and how you need to approach the prospect the next time you get the opportunity. In the process of exploring the reason for the rejection, you will also generate respect and create a relationship, especially when you do this in a gentle and humble manner. The relationships you are building are important and valuable for building your business. So get used to selling, embrace the rejections, and burn the line. Remember that customers and not physical assets are the foundations of a business. Your primary job as an entrepreneur is to get them. Burn the line, folks. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I look forward to reading your comments and feedback. Next week, I will share with you another important key to achieving success in Africa as part of our 4-part series on entrepreneurship, the foundations. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Tell your friends about it. Together, we can transform our beloved continent. See you next week.
Tomorrow belongs to those people who prepare for it today. See you next week.